Welcome into the Joe Dickey Electric Scoreboard. Week 4 is in the books, and wow,
It's a
what a week!
pretty good book.
Yeah, I'll take it anytime. I mean, yes, we had some lopsided games.
Yeah, I mean every week.
Yes, we had some teams that got a reality check.
Oh,
But boy, we had some really good games. Oh, double overtime in Austintown.
walk-off field goal in Middle Ridge.
Yeah, walk-off field goal there. Struthers and Gerard, back and forth, back and forth.
Right.
That one's decided.
Lakeview had a chance to tie the game.
Lakeview was driving.
Right.
South Range defense steps up. That's 25 straight conference wins for the Raiders.
Dating all the way back to 2019. They lost to Niles in 2019. Lost to Niles in overtime.
Yeah, how about that one? So that one continued. Just some fantastic games. Mooney, we didn't have the game tonight, but what a win for them. They go on the road, face the third
They needed it.
Clyde, tough team. They beat them 36-28.
On a big stage too, Ashland University.
Yeah. So congrats to the Cardinals. That was a big win in the battle of 224. Right down wire. Basically a walk-off field goal at the half for the Bulldogs to take the lead. Canfield answers. Poland comes back and gets it. They are still perfect on the season. That was a whale of a game, and you wanted it, we got it. We had all kinds of good games. Yes, we had some that weren't, but boy, that was a good football game.
You know, that was one of the ones that I thought might not be as good. I thought, Poland was coming in so hot and Canfield was wavering a little bit. I thought this could have a chance where Poland could run away with it, but no, what a great defensive game by both teams.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the battle of the Pavlinskis, battle of 224, whatever whichever way you want to look at it. But at the end of the day, Poland's still perfect. Canfield, if somebody had told me at the beginning of the season that the Cardinals would be 1-3 after 4 games, I'd have bet my house that they were wrong. And right now, Mike Pavlinski, he's got his work cut out for him.
They're definitely dealing with some injuries and some depth issues. And like a lot of teams in the YSN family, they have to find out what their identity looks like right now.
Well, they do. And here's the other thing. Being the defending state champs
doesn't help.
The bullseye is right there. You are going to get the A game of every team throughout the year.
And not even that. When you lose, the pressure from the outside gets ticked up and up because fans aren't happy. There probably are some parents that aren't happy. So that pressure cooker gets dialed up even more every time you lose a game.
Well, it does. And you feel bad for him because everybody knows Mike's a good coach. Everybody knows the Canfield program is solid. But you hit the key, you hit the hammer, everything, and they've got some big injuries they're dealing with. So, but I'm not going to take anything away from Poland. That Bulldog team came out and did their job, got it done, and that was exactly what they needed to do.
They bounced back from a big momentum swing. Canfield backed up inside their own 5 and had a huge run all the way to the 15, finished that drive with a touchdown, went up 7-3. And the way that game was going, you thought that
could go at the end of the half.
Right.
The way that game was going. Tell him I call in tonight, I'm going to hunt him down. And we'll find him because he absolutely had one of the best games of the night. 24-21, Austintown Fitch in double overtime. But just to get to overtime, Fitch has to score on 4th and goal with under 10 seconds to go in the game.
Right. And then they get a stop on the second overtime. First possession, St. Ignatius, they're left with a long field goal. They miss it. And then at that point, Fitch has everything to, gain.
Yeah.
All you have to do is play ball security, kick a field goal. Their field goal kicker was perfect through the night, and he remained perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. So we can get that. All right, let's hit the scoreboard while we wait for some of our guys to give us a call. And, man, this scoreboard is just slick. I like it. I hope you guys out there like it. And who's it sponsored by again?
Sponsored by, bring up the logo, Burnett Pools, Spas, and Hot Tubs.
I always make Anthony say the sponsor.
I know summer is winding down, but, never too early to start thinking about maybe getting a pool next year.
There isn't one person this week that, as hot as it was going,
I wish I had a pool right now.
Wish I hadn't closed my pool on a traditional Labor Day like everybody else does. because I can tell you right now, if the Ackelsons had a pool, she'd have been open this
Do you have a spa or hot tub?
Used to, got rid of it. Nobody used the hot tub.
Yeah, and the Burnett Pool spas and hot tubs. Get you a new one.
Well,
there's people that sell hot tubs at the fair in tents.
Oh yeah. All right, let's hit the scoreboard. We're gonna hit it running for you, and as soon as we get one of our guys to beam in, we're gonna talk about some of these games around the area tonight. Let's do like we did last week, Anthony. Let's go over to the fourth row and just run it down.
Hey, look who we have popping in there.
Oh, there he is.
Let's
see when I threaten Ty, he answers.
Let's
now,
see if
there could be a bag of food in there. There could be some hot dogs.
He's live from the press box. Look at this.
He hasn't left yet. You know what that means? They left a Wedgwood pizza up there for him.
I think he's having trouble. He just whipped off his headset.
Hey Ty, you had the game of the night. They don't call you Big Game Ty for no reason at all, huh?
Maybe he can hear us, but he can't. I mean, it's not on our end. You have to unmute yourself, bud.
As soon as
he'll try. He'll try again. He'll probably come on with his phone.
Yeah. He was muted. That was the only
reason
he wasn't
We thought maybe his voice needed a little bit of a break.
See that guy walking behind me?
He just took a nice little quick peek in here.
He did. He's having some pizza probably. But we'll start on the scoreboard. We'll get a couple of
Bring that back up.
Back in our Burnett polls and spa scoreboard. And like we said, we'll go over to the last row here. Yeah. Still true. It works.
There you go.
West Branch.
Yeah, this is one on the road, undefeated Ridgewood back and forth game. West Branch wins 32-29. I think Ty's trying to pop back in. Let's see if we can get him.
Let's see if we can.
I went to the phone, gentlemen. I'm hoping this works out a little bit better for us.
There we go.
Ty.
There you go. Hey, we're not doing the mime version of the Joe Dickey electric scoreboard.
We're not trying
you had
to, right?
Game of the night. I hope you got some water because we might keep you here a while.
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
The way that game broke down, Ty dictated most of that game. They fall behind and then answer the bell late.
And they did it in that drive, converting quite a few third downs as well. Like, they didn't make it easy on themselves. But if you talk to Coach Parker, I don't think he would have asked for this game to go any way than it did. I think he wanted, against a really good football team, as much adversity as you could possibly face, and he wanted to see if his guys were up for the task to come out on top. This is just the second time that Fitch has ever beaten St. Ignatius in program history. They're 2-2 overall now in their career against them. He talked about this being a big program-defining win and a big win for this season that can really start propelling this Fitch Falcons team to do even greater and even bigger things now.
Ty, I know you're having a few connection issues, but I do want to ask one question. That touchdown that Sean Vaughn had in the first overtime, running to the corner, getting the pylon, that's classic Deshaun Vaughn, right?
It is. I mean, he's so good at when a play breaks down. He's so good at improvising, finding the next thing that's available to. He's very smart with the football. And you know what? Despite the interceptions that he did throw tonight, he had some turnovers. The one thing about Deshaun that I can't credit him enough is that his mindset, that kind of stay even mindset, he lives it, man. He really does. Make a bad play. I play free safety on defense. I got to get out there and do my job. That's just his type of mentality. He could click it on and click it off just like that. And you saw it on offense tonight after throwing a couple picks at the quarterback position. He came through big time for his team tonight.
What was it in that second overtime? I watched that defensive stand by the Fitch team. Like, they kind of just turned their ears back and said, we're going to end this right now.
I really think momentum in this game, especially in high school, plays a huge factor. And I honest to God think that getting that score to tie the game, to even send it into overtime, was huge. Even though Fitch scored initially in that first overtime and St. Ignatius had to come back to get the score, I still think that the momentum of getting that scoring in the first overtime, and then winning the coin toss, knowing you knew what was in front of you, the task at hand, I think that made all the difference for Fitch tonight. And credit them. They got the big defensive stop, and they knew all they needed was points to win.
Do you think that timeout's not taken in that first overtime as St. Ignatius lines up? Do they go for two? Because
they called their own timeout too.
They called their own timeout.
Yeah.
I'm thinking they're going for the win. They're on the road. They're going for the win.
I thought they were going for the win too. I don't know what the change of mind was, because I thought for sure they were going for two. They were lining up like it. I know you're trying to draw guys off sides. You're trying to get a little bit of an easier try doing that, but I still thought they'd come back with offense. When they came out special teams ready to kick that extra point, I was shocked by it, but good thing they did if you're a Falcon fan tonight, right? Because if they didn't, we might be talking about a different game.
You know, what was even more crazy that when the timeout was first called, I thought Fitch called it because TJ Parker
Trying to ice
called
the
the
kicker.
timeout to make sure his defense was lined up. And then all of a sudden it's St. Ignatius timeout, and I'm like, what are we doing? And I think, honestly, I don't know their coach. I don't know how respected he is. I'm not trying to down him, but I think he might have caused a little bit of confidence in his offense by saying in the second overtime, to me.
It very well could, and we know how big the mental game is in this game, Anthony, and having that mental edge. I think that's what the Falcons really had in that second overtime. After they got that stop, especially, they knew it. But I think once they got the game tied in that fourth quarter, they knew in their minds that they have a chance, and it's sitting right in front of them. They just have to capitalize, and they went out in overtime, and they did just that.
Perfect, my friend. We know you got interviews to put on here, so we're going to let you get out of there.
Yeah, we do. Always great talking with you guys. Enjoyed it.
What a game you had. Thanks, Ty.
Ty's been in a full slate. He's got everything you said. He's at Hoban tomorrow for volleyball in the morning. I think it's a 10 a.m. start.
Oh, yeah. He's probably he'll probably sleep in the parking lot.
He's going to drive straight to Hoban tonight.
Nah, such a good guy. All right, so we're going to try this again.
Bring up the scoreboard.
But again, if one of our guys beeps in, we'll just abruptly stop and come back to it. We started earlier, West Branch, 32-29. And I was trying to think to myself, is West Branch still perfect on the year?
They lost in game one to Canfield.
Okay, so they're 3-1.
Right.
They've reeled off 3 straight. This was a pretty good Ridgewood team they beat.
Their last 2 wins have been against undefeated teams. When Gerard played them, they were undefeated. They ended Gerard's undefeated season. They just ended Ridgewood's undefeated season. Bo Alazas with the game-winning touchdown with about 30 seconds left in the game.
Yeah, that was a back-and-forth one. Cheney goes on the road. They get a win in Marlington tonight. Good win for the Cowboys, and they're starting to kind of find their group.
Another defensive win. They beat Boardman last week, 21-13. And this time they come back, they hold the Marlington offense to just 6 points.
Yeah. As we talked about briefly earlier, Mooney on the road, big winning against Clyde. They were playing at Ashland University, a neutral site. But, boy, that was a big win and a much-needed win for the Cardinals.
Yeah, it really was. You know, coming off that loss, really close loss to Steubenville, where they felt like they could have made game-winning plays. They were right there. This is a Mooney team like every year. If they make the playoffs, you don't want to see them.
Yeah, absolutely. Lakeside, they go to Orange tonight. Get the Wednesday night. They shut out Oakland 24-0.
4-0 in the season.
Yeah, how about
Don't sleep
them?
on the Wildcats.
Same as last year. Out of that gate, perfect. Rootstown, we're Pie Valley tonight, 28-6. Lowville, no problem with Matthews, 60-6. And Windham beats Tuscarora Central Catholic 38-12.
It's a big win for that Bombers team
Yeah.
that was really struggling in the first couple of weeks of the
They
season.
needed that win, so that was a good one. All right, and as we mentioned earlier, Poland remains perfect on the season. They beat Canfield 10-7. Nows takes care of Hubbard tonight, 27-6. Good win for the Red Dragons, and
Yeah.
Hubbard,
And
they leave that game tonight. They got to be looking for some answers.
Antoine Brown just too much on both sides of the ball. He made a lot of great tackles on defense, and then everyone knows how good of a running back he can be.
Yeah, and a game that was just fantastic. Girard, Struthers, back and forth, back and forth. The Wildcats, and for Girard, 2 tough weeks in a row.
Right.
They have lost leads in the fourth quarter and come up on the wrong side of that scoreboard.
And conference play at home, you got to protect your home field. You got to win at Arrowhead if you're Girard, and they just couldn't do it tonight.
Yeah, tough one there. Brookfield, no problem with champion. The Warriors, they looked like they were a little mad when they hit the field tonight. They played that way.
It's 2 straight wins for Brookfield after a tough start in the first 2 weeks.
And then one of our other games tonight, Jackson Milton, Middle Ridge, they go right down to the wire. It's a walk-off field goal for the Blue Jays. And they got the beneficiary of a Rams penalty.
Yep, and offsides.
Moved that kick closer, and the kick didn't look beautiful by any stretch, but guess what? It went between the uprights, and that's all that matters.
You know, it was really good. I mean, if you watched it, the snap wasn't great. The holder, I don't know who Jackson Milton's holder is, but whoever it is, congratulations on a great job, because being able to adjust to a bad snap, get a good hold down, need to get a good kick. I mean, one bad snap can ruin the whole rhythm of a field goal, and it didn't. So props to Jackson Milton.
Kudos to that, the holder, the kicker, they never let they overcome that. For the Rams, first loss of the season, so tough one there. And how about United? They walk into Columbiana tonight. They win by 28, but
and it was close for a while.
It was, but business as usual for Luke Courtney. I just want to rattle off something for you. He scored all 4 touchdowns. He ran them in. He was responsible for all 4 extra points. He also kicked a 47-yard field goal in this game. Just a typical night at the office.
Yeah, you're our quarterback / running back / field goal kicker.
Yeah,
probably plays defense too.
He may clean up the locker room when they leave, for all I know.
He's a janitor.
Yeah, he just does everything. But if you want to nominate a big dog, right there's one. That is a heck of a game and a heck of an effort out of Luke Courtney. I want to give him a big shout out.
I think for the first time, we might actually have a field goal kicker in the big dog. When you walk off a game for Jackson Milton, we might have to give the field goal kicker some love.
Hey, we got to give the kickers got to give special teams some love, and they earn it. Connie, nice win over Chagrin Falls. They shut them out 21-0. Tough one for Jefferson all the way around. They're definitely looking for some answers.
And this was we knew it was going to be a tall mountain. Perry is a Division 5, Region 17 powerhouse. A lot of people think they can win it this year. They have a lot of people returning from last year. Everyone knows South Range lost a lot, but they're one of the favorites. And to Jefferson to go up against them when they're already struggling, just not a good recipe for Jefferson tonight.
And kudos to Dan Riordan's team. They're perfect on the season. Wow. They came out, took care of business against East 46-0.
Set the tone early with a pick 6.
Absolutely did. Beaver Local lost week 1. Haven't tasted it since. And this was a rivalry game, blue versus red. Not separated by too many miles.
No. In fact, Beaver's local address is still East Liverpool.
Yeah.
If that tells you anything.
These players, they run into each other quite often. And Beaver Local, Michael McKenzie,
he kept it together.
Yeah.
I was impressed. I thought he would be going nuts.
Yeah, he did. But Coach McKenzie, tip of the hat to him, because that was a big win for the Potters' first loss of the season. Mm-hmm. So a little reality check, and they got one tonight. But under Coach Cusick, I expect them to be ready to play next week, because he'll be ripping that film apart probably now through tomorrow till he gets a hold of the players. And I don't think I would want to sit in that film session.
When you go into the road, you can't let your rival get a fast start. And Beaver Local started really quick. And East Liverpool's offense isn't really built for comebacks. They like to run the ball. They like to have those long, sufficient drives. And they actually had one get, kind of blown up at the end of it, because those long drives are hard to complete. And it got away from East Liverpool really quick when Beaver Local got off to such a quick start. Props to Austin Klein. He's playing really well in his third year as starting quarterback for Beaver Local.
And then you got Lisbon. They go into East Palestine. They get a win 37-7. But this game at the half was 14-7.
This was close to. This
was close.
Palestine's close. They're there.
They played a half. Now they got to get to that second half, because the second half, it was pretty much all Blue Devils. They did what they wanted. Speaking of teams that are hot,
doing what they want.
since week 1, that Springfield Tigers team, they're pretty good. They are having a blast. They were up big early. They never looked back. They never took their foot off the pedal. And I'm not sure if Waterloo maybe looked at them cross-eyed, or maybe they wanted them to call tails and they called heads or something, because Springfield played with a chip on their shoulder, and that is the way they play. Good things are going to happen.
So now I want to see some consistency out of Springfield.
Yeah.
You know, they kind of don't play well on week 1. They play really great week 2. They lose by 7 in week 3, and now they're 2-2 with a dominating win in week 4. So now the name of the game for the Tigers is just, can we see consistency?
Yeah, absolutely. Another game, and we got away from it early, was Hawk and Edgewood.
Mhm.
It was, I'll give Edgewood credit. They battled back in this game.
Starting to
They
score.
put 38 up, but their defense, that's not going to be a fun day in that film room. They give up 56. But when that game, they could have just tucked their tails between their legs and kind of hung their heads. They battled. So not the result they wanted, but I think the coach at least knows they got a little bit of intestinal fortitude in them, that they're not going to quit.
Edgewood came into this game just 18 points given up all season.
Yeah.
And I think they were kind of put on their heels by an offense that was finding holes in their defense, because it hadn't happened yet.
Thing I noticed every time we chipped in and looked at that Hawken offensive line was pretty big.
Yeah,
So,
Hawken from Stranger Things, there were like some Demogorgons out there in the offensive line.
the next game we want to talk about is Camel and Newton Falls, and the score is not indicative of how this game went.
It's tied at 28.
Yeah,
right?
it was back and forth, and all of a sudden, late in the game, Newton Falls puts up 3 scores to pull away, but for at least 3 quarters and maybe a few minutes into the 4th quarter, this was just an outright battle between 2 teams.
I can't figure Newton Falls out. Last week, they get into an absolute offensive, kind of slow defensive game. Couldn't really do much on offense. They win 12-7 against Matthews on a Saturday. And then they come out this week against a Camel team that has looked pretty good this year. And they're able to do almost whatever they want on offense. It's a Newton Falls team that it's definitely shown they can win in two different ways, which is good. But, like Springfield, you just want to see some consistency from one side of the field.
Well, the big kudos to the Tigers is, hey, congratulations, you won what could have become a shootout game. You put up 7 touchdowns.
Right.
But I think what their staff would like to see is, now we want to see this on a weekly basis.
Right.
It can't be every other week. It can't be, when you think, because that Camel team had played some pretty good defense.
Right.
And, it's going to be a tough week for them to look at the scoreboard. Up next, South Range, 25 straight conference wins now in the NE8. And Lakeview, though, had their chances. And
They did.
This game, even though the Raiders led by 14 for a good bit of the game,
I think it was tied at 14 once
and then
too,
it
right?
was tied, and then it went 28-14. Lakeview never quit. So, tip of the cap to the Bulldogs. It's not the result they wanted, but for the Raiders, it's finding a way to win that game.
2 things I think we learned from this game. One, I think South Range learned that the NE8 is going to be a cakewalk this year, like it has been for them in the past. They're going to have to grind out these wins. They're going to have to get wins like this in the NE8. For Lakeview, it's the little things still that's holding them back. They had a botched punt where they gave the Raiders the ball deep in their own territory, giving up too many sacks, not getting the ball, just the little fine details that are going to keep you from winning close games against good teams.
Absolutely. And then LeBray, another tough one tonight, but when you take on the G-men from Garrettsville, Garfield, you've got to come to play.
I know we said earlier that Perry is a favorite in Division 5, Region 17, but Garfield's raising their hand like,
excuse me,
we're
I'm
here.
Yeah, I'm here. Can we play?
Garcon?
Yeah. Excuse me. Reservations for 6. We're going to find the end zone.
Keegan Sell is a monster, and
Yeah.
whoever has to deal with him in the playoffs is not going to have a fun day.
And then you got Salem on the road tonight, and it's just been a horrible start to the year for them.
That's tough.
34-3, and we realized they lost a lot, last year, but this is definitely a group that's going to have to find some answers, keep playing, because they just got to get better right now.
This next one really surprised me. Not that the Western Reserve won, but they just ran away with this game.
The way they won, is the thing, and it was 7-7 early, and the next thing I know, it's 21 or 20-7 in favor of Western Reserve, and the Blue Devils in the battle. The Blue Devils really took advantage of McDonald's. So kudos to Western